Princess Anne did not hesitate. The invitation rested on the polished table for barely 3 seconds before she slid it back across the room. "I won't be there." Silence swallowed every witness. Advisors froze. A senior court official reached for the envelope, then stopped halfway, as if touching it might ignite another constitutional fire. Nobody argued. Nobody dared, because they all understood one terrifying fact. If Princess Anne refused to stand beside Queen Camilla during the coronation, the monarchy itself would face questions it had spent decades burying. But what nobody inside those palace walls knew was that Anne's refusal had almost nothing to do with Camilla. It had everything to do with a secret someone else was willing to destroy the royal family to protect. Before we continue, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's uncover what really happened. The official explanation arrived within hours. Scheduling conflicts, private commitments, nothing unusual. The public accepted it for exactly 1 afternoon. Then photographs surfaced showing Anne riding across her estate alone that same day. Calm, focused, deliberately absent. The headlines exploded. Commentators blamed old rivalries. Royal insiders whispered about decades of resentment dating back to Diana. Social media declared the coronation fractured before it had even begun. Camilla read every headline. She said almost nothing. That silence unsettled King Charles more than any criticism ever could. Because Camilla knew Anne better than almost anyone alive. Anne never made emotional decisions. Every refusal carried a reason, and this one carried consequences. Charles requested a private meeting. Only 4 people entered the room: Charles, Camilla, Anne, and Sir Edward Hensley, one of the monarchy's longest-serving constitutional advisors. The king expected compromise. Instead, Anne placed a sealed leather folder on the table. "I was told never to open this," she said quietly. "But someone already has." The room changed instantly. Charles recognized the handwriting before touching the folder. His mother's, Queen Elizabeth II. No one spoke, not even Camilla. The seal had already been broken. Someone had violated one of the late Queen's private instructions. That single discovery shifted the crisis away from the coronation and towards something infinitely more dangerous. Who had opened the Queen's personal archive? No answer came. Instead, another problem arrived. A national newspaper contacted Buckingham Palace claiming it possessed copies of documents from the same archive. Not rumors, not anonymous gossip, photographs, authentic pages. Someone inside the institution had leaked material protected for decades. Panic spread through private offices. Every trusted aide suddenly became a suspect. Even Sir Edward, whose loyalty had once seemed unquestionable, quietly canceled 2 meetings and disappeared for an entire evening. Anne noticed. She noticed everything. She followed the trail without announcing it. What she discovered didn't expose a traitor. It exposed desperation. Sir Edward wasn't selling secrets. He was trying to buy them back before publication. The documents had already fallen into someone else's hands. Someone far outside palace control. The crisis accelerated overnight. Then another unexpected figure entered the story. Prince William. He had deliberately stayed away from the arguments until Anne asked him one question. "If history changes tomorrow, are you prepared?" William answered without hesitation. "Tell me the truth first." Anne handed him 1 page from the Queen's archive. His expression vanished. Not anger, not shock, recognition. He had seen references to this document years earlier, but had believed it destroyed forever. It contained instructions Queen Elizabeth had written during one of the monarchy's darkest internal disputes. Instructions about loyalty, about public duty, and 1 sentence underlined twice. "The crown survives only when truth arrives before scandal." William understood immediately. Someone intended to weaponize the past before the family could confront it themselves. Everything changed. Charles finally opened the rest of the folder. Inside lay personal correspondence spanning years, letters, private reflections, warnings. None condemned Camilla. None attacked Charles. Instead, they described a different fear entirely. The Queen believed the monarchy's greatest threat would never come from public criticism. It would come from silence inside its own walls. Anne hadn't refused the coronation out of rebellion. She had refused because appearing beside Camilla while those hidden documents remained compromised would falsely signal that everything inside the institution remained stable. She refused to help create an illusion. That revelation stunned everyone, including Camilla. For the first time, Anne looked directly at her. "This was never about you." Camilla lowered her eyes. "I know." Those two words carried decades of conflict and unexpected understanding. The tension softened, but only briefly, because another name suddenly appeared. Lady Victoria Ashcombe, a respected aristocrat, former royal fundraiser, trusted family friend, completely invisible to public suspicion, until investigators discovered encrypted payments flowing through one of her charitable foundations. The money wasn't enormous. Its destination mattered. Private investigators, document brokers, media intermediaries. She wasn't gathering information. She was orchestrating its release. Anne confronted her privately. Victoria didn't deny anything. Instead, she revealed something no one expected. Years earlier, her husband had sacrificed his reputation protecting a palace mistake that was never acknowledged. He died carrying blame that wasn't his. She spent years waiting for someone to correct the record. No one ever did. Eventually, grief transformed into vengeance. "I didn't want the monarchy destroyed," Victoria admitted. "I wanted it to feel what my family felt." For one devastating moment, Anne saw not an enemy, but a widow whose pain had hardened into something irreversible. Yet compassion couldn't stop what had already begun. The files had been copied, distributed, scheduled. Publication was less than 24 hours away. Then came the revelation nobody anticipated. The archive leak wasn't the final objective, it was bait. Hidden among authentic royal correspondence sat one expertly forged letter, a fabricated confession supposedly written by Queen Elizabeth questioning Charles's future as king. If released alongside genuine documents, the forgery would appear authentic. The real archive would validate the lie. One false page threatened to poison every genuine truth beside it. The monarchy wasn't facing embarrassment, it was facing historical manipulation. William immediately recognized the strategy. Debunking one forged letter wouldn't matter after millions believed it. The damage would become permanent. Time disappeared. Lawyers prepared injunctions. Security services tracked digital copies. Editors hesitated. Nobody knew which pages were real anymore. Anne made the decision everyone else feared. She advised Charles to disclose the existence of the compromised archive himself before anyone else could. Not every detail, just enough. Charles resisted. Opening private royal correspondence voluntarily would shatter generations of tradition. Camilla surprised everyone. "She's right." Charles turned toward her. "If we hide now, they define the story forever." For the first time since the crisis began, Charles stopped protecting the institution. He started protecting the truth. The announcement shocked the nation. The palace confirmed unauthorized access to historical documents. Independent authentication followed. Experts exposed the forged letter within hours. The genuine archive remained intact. The planned scandal collapsed before reaching full force. Lady Victoria disappeared from public life. Sir Edward retired quietly. The newspaper withdrew its explosive feature. The immediate disaster had ended. But victory carried its own cost. Public confidence never fully recovered. Questions lingered. Not about Camilla, not about Anne. About how close centuries of history had come to being rewritten by one carefully planted lie. Days later, Anne finally met Camilla alone. No advisors, no cameras, no speeches. Camilla asked the question everyone else avoided. "Would you attend if it happened again?" Anne answered after a long silence. "If the truth stood beside us, yes." Camilla nodded. There was no embrace, no dramatic reconciliation, only mutual recognition that duty sometimes demanded standing apart before standing together. Years later, historians argued endlessly about Anne's refusal. Some insisted it revealed division, others believed it demonstrated integrity. Only a handful ever understood what truly happened. The coronation was never the greatest battle. The fight was over who would control history itself. Anne lost friends. Charles lost certainty. Camilla lost the illusion that acceptance could ever be complete. Lady Victoria lost the revenge that had consumed her life. And the monarchy learned that its greatest danger had never been public criticism. It had been secrets waiting for the wrong person to discover them. Perhaps that is why one decision made in silence echoed louder than every ceremonial trumpet that day. If you found this story as gripping as it was unexpected, like the video, subscribe for more untold royal-inspired dramas, and tell us in the comments, if you were Princess Anne, would you have attended the coronation or refused, knowing what she knew?